In the aftermath of the Capitol insurrection, followers of the far-right conspiracy theory QAnon are continuing to share disinformation online. They are now falsely claiming former President Trump will return to office this spring. Researchers and journalists following the group say they've discovered a crossover between QAnon and more established anti-government extremist groups. For more on this, let's bring in CBSN technology reporter Dan Patterson. Dan, I know you have been covering QAnon here for many months. Which groups at this point appear to be merging, and what platforms are they migrating to? And I hear the dog in the background.
Forgive me. My dog Fred is very passionate about QAnon and disinformation.
Just want to acknowledge it. That's right.
So the conspiracy itself is a little convoluted and hard to understand. But what's not hard to understand is that there's a power vacuum at the top. And the reason for this is that some of the very prominent thought leaders and air quotes thinkers in QAnon have recently left. And that has left the group vulnerable to groups like the Oath Keepers, the Three Percenters, and other white nationalist organizations who are exploiting some of the true believers, the adherents to QAnon, who really followed each of the breadcrumbs left by this mysterious figure that went by the name of Q, but we probably suspect was Ron Watkins and Jim Watkins, the two people in charge of the websites 8chan and then 8kun.
So QAnon followers expressed disappointment after President Trump lost the election and left office, and it now sounds like they are clinging to new hope. Tell us more about that.
So much like any organization that had a final end date, when that date came, they kind of had to move the goalposts. And we are seeing this conspiracy emerge that, well, actually, Joe Biden wasn't sworn in as the president of the United States because the United States isn't a country. We're a corporation, and we became a corporation in 1933. And because of that, President Trump was aware of this, and he will be installed on March 4th, which was what happened prior to 1933. Of course, this is all entirely false, but it's a great example of how the group persists and evolves. After the 20th, when President Biden took the oath of office, this was never supposed to happen, and the group had to kind of figure out this kind of coming to this reckoning of, well, what do we stand for and what are we following? And it seems as though they're just moving those goalposts down the line.
So let me ask you about this platform Parler, which is popular with many conservatives. It was taken offline weeks ago. Dan, where have those users gone, and what kind of disinformation spread are you still seeing?
Well, Parler was a temporary home for a lot of extremists and conspiracy theory enthusiasts who found a home and scale on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Now, there's really no substitute for the scale of those technology firms. But after Parler, they have kind of coalesced into smaller but still very powerful groups on a few different chat platforms, namely Signal, which has a pretty good reputation. It's an encrypted end-to-end chat application developed here in the United States. And Telegram, a Russian-funded application that has not the best security reputation, but it has all kinds of great communication features. It lets you share audio and video and photos, but one aspect of Telegram is that almost anybody, including journalists like myself, can go in and listen to and watch a lot of these audio and video and message posts. So some of the groups that were in the hundreds of thousands on Twitter are now maybe 8 to 10,000 on Telegram. But the real interesting thing here, Elaine, is that these groups have really doubled down on the conspiracy and hardened. So what I anticipate happening, it's very difficult to figure out where the actual particulars of the conspiracy will grow, but this group will harden and it will be preyed upon by others who do see this power vacuum and kind of exploit the anti-Semitism that is at the heart of the QAnon conspiracy and use that for recruitment into other extremist groups.
It's really sobering to hear those details, Dan. I'm so glad we have you today because after January 6th, I think a lot of Americans came to the understanding of the power of misinformation and disinformation, and it's so important to keep all of this in perspective here as we have our political discourse moving forward. There are still many of our fellow Americans who believe in this disinformation, so it's important to be aware of that. Dan Patterson, thank you for sharing your reporting and insight with us. Really appreciate it.
Good to see you.